The Bamboo Project Wholesale video starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project YouTube channel. My name is Donivan Gray.
And my name is Melissa Burnett. We currently have over 300 videos on our channel of our Dr. Sebi inspired diet, travel vlogs, sports, music, clothing, podcast, beauty, and everything else. We live in New York City, and this is episode 26 of our virtual wholesaling series, where we give weekly updates on our journey to close our first deal.
We started this series for the people who want to get into wholesaling, who don't have any money, who don't have any mentors, and want the perspective of other people just starting out. Today is May 14th, I want to say. And today is going to be a little bit different than normal. So we don't have an update that from last week, so we're actually going to do an interview today. One of my friends who we met through wholesaling through YouTube several months back when we first started doing this, he had texted me earlier in the week and said, hey, I kind of want to ask some questions about real estate. Could I be on the podcast? So I said, hey, that would be great content for the wholesale channel, or the wholesale series. Why not do it on there? So I kind of also wanted to talk to him and see what his perspective was on wholesaling as far as doing it so far, how he feels about it now, what he wants to do going forward for himself. And he also get to ask me some questions as well as Melissa, and we'll both kind of get to answer, and you can see where we are at personally with real estate. Okay, so we are currently recording for the wholesale series. Today's episode 26. So I already kind of told him that you had asked me earlier in the week. You said you wanted to ask some questions about real estate, and I actually wanted to ask you some questions too from what you kind of went through with wholesaling.
One question I would ask would be, what advice would you give to newbies?
Newbies in real estate or in wholesaling particularly?
In real estate.
In real estate, the first thing I would say for a newbie in real estate would be to get the information. That would be the first thing I would say. And while you're doing that, I would say put some money aside, because you might come across something where you have enough money to buy something, and you might think you need $40,000, $30,000, but somebody might be able to buy something with 10 or 15 depending on the information that you have. So what would you say, Melissa?
Hi, Emmanuel.
How you doing?
What's my question? Not my question, my answer. I think that I would say to kind of stay away from labels, because I feel like a lot of people kind of get caught up on, like, I'm a wholesaler, I'm a this, I'm a that. And I think that when you put a label on yourself, you don't really allow yourself to look at the different avenues that are within real estate. So I think that would be my advice, and to kind of just be open to learning new things and open to asking questions and being wrong. It's okay to be wrong. So yeah.
Okay. My next question would be, what are some resources that would be beneficial to a person that does wholesaling as well as real estate?
Resources. So I haven't obviously closed a deal. So for me, from where I'm at right now, I think the most important things would be to have a realtor that you work with, because for me, I do all market stuff, so that's why I would want to have a realtor that I have a relationship with, where they know that I'm going to be wholesaling, a contractor, and I would say somebody that wholesales before, who knows about it, who kind of has some backhand knowledge of just kind of some pitfalls you could avoid in wholesaling. So what would you?
For resources, I think that, just for learning information or learning more about wholesaling in general, I think YouTube is a great resource, and I definitely think that Bigger Pockets has some interesting forums on there too, just to start to grasp everything, because it could be very overwhelming to learn everything all at once.
Do you think wholesaling is a hands-on experience, or would you say it's more from I can get it off the internet?
I definitely think it's a mix of both. I think once you have the information as a foundation, or at least the basic steps, and that you would get from the internet, you would be able to kind of then do the hands-on trial and error after. I think both are very important.
Yeah, me personally, I like the I would say hands-on. I like to get into it and actually mess up so that I feel like I learn better that way. A lot of people can get analysis paralysis where they are learning and learning and learning and they never actually get to the point where they actually do something. So for me, I like to get into it. So that would, for me, I would consider that more hands-on.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna say that. I knew it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a question for about like the amount. What would you say would be a good amount for a person to say, for example, I know some people get like their tax returns and stimulus checks and things like that. What would be a good amount to say, hey, I want to go and I want to flip a house and I want to be able to flip a house, just say maybe by this time next year. What would be a good starting amount for a person coming in?
Yeah, it depends on where you are. That's the first thing, because some people may be able to get a down payment for a house with $15,000 or $20,000, and then somewhere else you might need, like for us, and I think I was kind of on the low end, we needed $40,000 to do it. Yeah. And a lot of different things go into that. So the credit score goes into that. If you have somebody that you know that has done it before, you get a better rate. And so if I had to come up with a number, I would say a good number to have on the side at the minimum is probably 15 to 20,000, because then you'll be able to, you might be able to borrow money from somebody else. You might be able to probably do like an FHA loan where you could kind of get a lower percentage on it. And if you're doing a hard money loan, if you know somebody else that does flips, you might get a better rate. So I would probably say 15 to 20. If you can't save money at all, 15 to 20, and then if you have income that's higher, I would say definitely 40,000 is the number to have. Yeah. If you get 40, you can pretty much get you a property within the year.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Okay, what you said with the 15 to 40,000, would that be complete renovation, or is that just to get started?
If you do a hard money loan, all they want is the down payment, and a lot of ones that I've run into will cover the renovation cost 100%. So as long as you have enough money. So what I ran into, the guy said that they would either charge me 20% of the property purchase price, or they charge me 15% of the renovation and the property purchase price. But either way, they were still covering all of the renovation. I didn't have to come out of pocket to do the renovation myself.
Okay. Is a hard money loan, is it easy to get, or is it difficult, or it just depends?
I think it's relatively easy to get if you have a good deal. What I noticed with the one that we bought in Philadelphia, they were kind of fighting over the deal. So if you have a good deal, they'll more or less throw themselves at you to be the person that lends you the money. And then
I think it's having the paperwork in order too. So that was something that we ran into with this deal. We had to like file paperwork because we were doing it in a different state than our LLC was set up in. And I think they needed like the operating agreement and stuff like that. Oh, do you need a LLC to set up a hard money loan?
You do, for the most part. I would say about 95% of hard money lenders are going to want you to have an LLC set up. I think my friend did his without an LLC, I believe. And it was in his name. But I guess I don't think it's hard to get money from a hard money lender. If you have money, if you have good credit, and if you
have a deal.
Yeah, and you have a deal. It's pretty easy to get a deal. I'll get money from a hard money lender.
Melissa, what do you consider a good deal? I hear that a lot. He was saying if you have a deal, what is a good deal?
A good deal is when the purchase price of the property is typically like 70% below. 70% below what they're asking for, I guess. Not really. No, it's 70% of the ARV. Is that what it is? I'm terrible at definitions. I think a good deal is when you're able to make a profit after buying the house and buying the and doing the renovations, that's at least like maybe $30,000. I think that's a good deal.
My last question for both of you would be, if you could go back to day one of the wholesaling real estate, just go back to day one completely, what advice would you give to yourself?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
What would you?
What I was looking to myself?
Yeah, that's a great question.
If I could go back all the way to the first day, I would probably tell myself to be. I just, it's hard to tell yourself that, but to be more confident. Like, it's okay. I would tell myself that it is okay to mess up, because that was my big thing that I was afraid of. Like, oh my gosh, what if I say the wrong thing on the phone? The agent's gonna know that I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, I just asked her, something and it doesn't make any sense. That was really my biggest thing, and I hated doing phone calls. But I think that I've grown so much because of it. So I think I would just tell myself to just stay in there and just get it done, because I was not happy with that.
Let's see. What would I tell myself if I can go back to Donivan and say, hey, you could, I would tell myself I know what I would say. I would tell myself to be more assertive on the phone with agents, and I would also tell myself that you did the work to know the information that you know. Well, actually, at that point, I wouldn't know anything. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, this is day one.
Yeah, right. Day one. I don't know anything. What would I say on day one of Donivan wholesaling? That's man. Donivan day one, and I would say to me,
I don't even know how you ended up wholesaling.
Bruh, you were doing it, and then
yeah, because I was doing it.
Yeah. I would, because I feel like I'm doing the stuff that I would tell myself to do. I would say to be persistent, and I would say I would tell myself. I don't know if I would say that. I was gonna say tell myself to find a mentor, but I'm very hard-headed, so I don't know if I would, because I wouldn't want to do that now necessarily. Like, find a person that's a mentor in wholesaling. I would talk to somebody that does it, but as far as having a mentor, I don't know. I'm very hard-headed like that. Damn, it's a great question, Emmanuel. What would I tell myself?
I got a part two to the question when you finish that one, but I'm gonna wait to.
Okay, I'm trying to come up with an answer, because I don't know. What do I not know about wholesaling that I think I should have? Did I make mistakes in the beginning?
Yes.
Oh, I know. But I'm like, what mistakes did I make that I could have told myself not to do? I know what I'm gonna say. You have an answer in your head?
For you?
Yes.
For you.
If you have an answer, don't say it. I'm gonna say mine first, and then if you have an answer, you tell me.
That you just be jumping.
Don't say the answer.
Oh.
Jesus.
I got the answer. I was like, oh, that's the thing. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so what I was going to say was stick to your numbers. That's what I would tell myself. I would say, Donivan, if you find a deal and it says it's a deal, stick to the number. If it's not a deal, do not get the property under contract. That's what I would tell myself. That's exactly I would tell myself that. If you find a property that is not a deal, do not get it under contract. Don't try to make it a deal. That's what I would say.
You don't listen to yourself now.
But that's what I would tell myself. Whether I listen or not, I would at least tell myself that, and then we would go forward from there. But that's what I would tell myself. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say for you to like finish the work, not finish the work, like, because I don't even think we finished Jerry's course.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like,
we did not.
Probably finish that, because you was just like, you know what? We have to start calling Melissa. I'm like, Donivan, I even finished. We have to start now. And I'm like, so I think maybe that, because there could be things in the course that would help with what we're doing now that we just never see.
You might be right. You might have to check that course out. I have to go finish the rest of that course. So that's what I would say to myself. Well, what was the part 2 of the question?
Okay, well, it's kind of what is the number one thing you've learned since you started?
What?
I was gonna say agents don't know much.
You know what's crazy? I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. That was the first thought of my head. That was my first thought that came to my head. But did you hear what she said?
No, what happened?
Okay. We had the same thought in our head, and then we just looked at each other, and it was like, yeah. So
I said that agents don't know as much as we think they know. Mm-hmm. So, like, in terms of comps, in terms of like that is crazy. So yeah.
Oh, and I would say this too. I would definitely go off that, but because you already gave that answer, I'm going to say that agents are salespeople.
Yes.
They are not experts on real estate. They are just there to sell you on real estate. Mm-hmm. I don't think they know about real estate from an investor standpoint, at least not the average realtor.
Yeah, they would have to put in like extra time and extra work in order to further their knowledge more on that. Because even I feel like there's people that we've talked to that's been agents for years, and it's like if you don't go down that path to learn more, to get that information, they just don't have it. It's not a part of their job description.
Well, I said in the intro before that we met, or from like I don't know when it was now, maybe December, November probably. We first started talking through YouTube, and we started wholesaling around that time. So my question to you is, what did you think about wholesaling before you first started wholesaling? How did you feel about it?
I didn't know anything about really wholesaling like that. I knew about flipping houses, but I've never heard of wholesaling anything as far as real estate before I ran across you guys' video.
That was the Jerry Norton video?
The one where you guys were doing, like, I think it said 10K or something like that. You were getting evicted, and you were trying to do 10K within, I forget what it was. But I was like, what made me actually start looking at your channel was I always like challenges on YouTube. Like some people will say, hey, we made $1,000 in 30 days. So when I seen the $10,000, I was like, wow, I really want to see what they finna do. And so that's how I started watching.
Okay. And so that's what made you want to start YouTube, is kind of the challenge, not YouTube, but wholesaling is the challenge of seeing if you can get a deal?
I wanted to see if you guys could.
Oh, okay. So what do you feel about wholesaling since you started doing it? Has your opinion changed on it at all?
Okay. When I first started talking to you guys, I thought it was going to be like going to get like 10K a month, like, hey, we're going to really do this. And no, it don't work like that. I'm thinking like we finna retire and get, caviar and everything. It's not like that. No, not at all.
Yep, that's really funny, because that's the same thing I thought when Melissa first told me about the course. I was like, okay, if we can get 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month, that's $30,000 a month, and 4 months we $100,000. We could do that. We could definitely get 3 deals a month. That was how I looked at it when we first started, and you get a refund when you get your first deal too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was yeah. I think a lot of people think that. A lot of people look at wholesaling like
I think it's crazy because I've seen the hours that you both put in too. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen you guys, on the phone talking about the deals, getting the agents on the phone, running the numbers. I've seen all of it and done it myself, but it's so crazy.
Okay.
Have you gotten a deal yet?
No.
Okay. What are the reasons you think you have not gotten a deal?
Okay. I'm gonna tell you the thing that makes me pull my hair out most was, okay, like the agents, I'll call the agent and they'll say to me, yeah, I'm going to send you the information right quick. And I never hear from them again. Yeah. And they will say, or they'll talk to me, and it'll be on the site. And when I call the number, the person is like in California somewhere or something like that. And I never hear from anybody. That bothers, that's the most irritating thing ever. Or they text me and say, I'll talk to you within the next hour. And I never hear from them anymore.
Mm.
What happens when you would call them back or try to follow up with them?
Nothing. Some people, they don't say anything. Once they get off the phone with you, it's like, hey, they're doing what they're doing, and you're just out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think? You have any questions? I have a question.
What did you like about your experience so far wholesaling?
Okay. I like being the helper. I like finding, like when I could find a deal that was like really good. When I finally got the numbers, that was the most exciting thing for me, because I haven't had any success where I've been able to just get paid for it. But when I actually can find one that fits the criteria, where it's, 7%, 80%, and I guess to me, it was a great learning experience, the most thing.
Have you decided to stop wholesaling?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the flips more or less, the flipping houses as opposed to wholesaling. I would rather get a house that I could flip and supervise and then put it back on the market when it gets renovated. But as far as like wholesaling from a agent or a for sale by owner, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
I feel that.
Do you think, because Melissa thinks wholesaling is a scam, do you feel like wholesaling is a scam?
I don't. Sometimes you gotta talk to the person, the real estate agent, and they're not as so, how can I say, they're not happy to help you, I would say. It was more like you're competing with the agent as opposed to being on the same team. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I would say it's a scam, but some things are getting a little bit more harder for wholesalers.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say it's a scam. It's gambling. I think wholesaling is gambling. You have to kind of pick the right slot and hope that you get all sevens and everything works out.
Do you not want to say it's a scam?
Because it's like, it's a weird thing where it's like, I know that people can make money wholesaling. I'm aware of that. I just don't know how repeatable it is. Like, is it something that everybody can do?
I think, me personally, I think everybody can wholesale. I think there are certain things people need to wholesale. For things that are off market, I think you need to have money, in my opinion. I think if you have money to donate to wholesaling, it's a lot easier to do it. You can have virtual assistants who call.
It sounds like gambling to me.
Why does it sound like gambling?
Because that's I think off market sounds more so like gambling, and I think on market, especially in a virtual market, is just damn near impossible.
You didn't give me a reason as to why it's gambling.
The reason why I think it's gambling is because you're just trying to, I keep using analogies. It's like the clock strikes right twice thing, where it's like you're just gonna send out a whole bunch of numbers, you're gonna text a whole bunch of people, you're gonna call a whole bunch of people's phones and hope that somebody picks up the phone. That person is also willing to sell their house, and also that the deal actually goes through clear title and everything.
Okay, so my question to you would be, what is not gambling?
What is not gambling? I think things that have a repeatable outcome probably is not gambling.
Like what?
Like what? Like if I have a job and a schedule to go to work, and I go to work and I get paid and I go home, that's repeatable. I can do that every day.
Okay, so let me ask you this. would you consider it gambling at your job if you can get fired any day of the week? Because you have been successful at your job at not being fired. Is it a gamble that you can also be fired?
I don't think it's a gamble. I think that that's based upon my actions, or based upon like what's happening within the company. I feel like wholesaling is a lot more random with a lot more factors in it.
Okay, well, I disagree with that it's random. I think that there are people who get deals every single month. So I don't think it's random for them. I think that they have a system set up to get them deals every month where they, like I said, they have virtual assistants, they have lists that they pull, they have scripts that they use, they have markets they look at. So I think that people kind of pinpoint where they want to get deals, and they get deals in those markets.
Yeah, I hear you, but I feel like those are the same people that are putting $30K into the wholesale, not 30, like $8,000, $10,000 a month into it. So I think that if you're not putting that amount of money into it, then it is more so of a gamble and more so of a scam.
I guess I disagree. I think that if you put in money if you have somebody, it's a game of numbers.
Yes.
I don't consider that gambling, because you can affect the outcome of what you're doing. If you call one person a month, you will not get as many deals as somebody who calls 100,000 people a month, and that's not gambling. That's just the law of numbers. You're going to get deals if you call enough people.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with a lot of things, with multi-level marketing and all that stuff. It all has kind of the same concept, where it's like, yeah. If I talk to every single person, somebody's probably gonna talk back to me. So
I don't think it's the same thing.
why is it not the same thing?
How is multi-level marketing the same?
Because eventually, if you keep approaching people, eventually you're gonna find someone that's gonna want to sign up underneath you and then be a part of the thing with you.
Okay, so my thing is, can you change the outcome of that?
What do you think?
Because
Okay, I get what you're saying. I'm saying that it's completely independent of your actions.
yes, you're saying that it's randomized based off nothing that you do will affect what happens with the deals you get. That's gambling to me. If you can affect the outcome, I don't think that's gambling.
I think that you can affect the outcome. You can do as much as you can, but at the end of the day, I think that you can do everything that you can for a certain situation, and it won't have that result.
I don't agree. That's what I'm saying. I think that it's possible to put in enough money, make enough phone calls, and get deals every single month. I think there are multiple people who get deals every single month. So I don't think that is random. I'm curious. Do you think it's a gamble, Emmanuel? Wholesaling?
I wouldn't say like that. The most success that I've had, what I found out when you can eliminate the agent, I've had more success or been more comfortable doing for sale by owner. And I wouldn't say it was a gamble, but I think it's harder because, for example, if I flip a house, I can buy a house outright and hold it as long as I want to. But with wholesaling, you have to have some people already lined up. You have to have a buyer and a seller already lined up, because you're just basically being the middleman. So I wouldn't say it's a gamble, but it's just, if you don't have the money or the resources, it's kind of tough.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I feel like it's a lot harder, in my opinion, to wholesale if you don't have, like you just said, the resources to do it. If you don't have the people set up, if you don't have the connections, if you don't have the money, it becomes very hard. And also, another thing that I think make it hard are if you're not in the same market, if you're trying to do it virtually. Also, if you don't have a car to drive. I think that there's an app called Deal something. Do you know what it's called? Mm-mm. I think it's Blue. It's like the virtual version of Driving for Dollars. I forgot the name of the app. But I think that if you have a car and you can drive around your neighborhood, it's easier to find deals on there. You can see a house and go, okay, I know that house is there. I can call a person or find somebody next door to them and say, hey, do you know who owns that house? Oh yeah, it's John from, this other place. I can have his number. I'll call him. I think it's a lot easier to do that than it is to go on an app that everybody has access to and then try and skip trace and call and send letters to and pay for all of that. I think that makes wholesaling very hard to do when you're pretty much doing it single-handedly by yourself with nobody on your team.
I have a question for both of you, and the question would be, would you rather do an entrepreneurial job like wholesaling, or would you rather have a 9-to-5?
Definitely entrepreneurial.
Well, would you rather wholesale or have a 9-to-5?
Why are you asking me that question?
Okay.
We'll take the wholesaling away, but would you just want to have an entrepreneurial job or 9-to-5?
Yeah, definitely.
Basically a guaranteed job or entrepreneurial.
Entrepreneur all the way.
Yeah, I would not trade this for anything else. I prefer, even though we aren't making money every week or every month from our businesses, I think that we've built a foundation of that can do that. Like the fact that we were able to buy this house in Philadelphia, to me, is crazy. And we did that with no job, more or less no income, and we were able to somehow finesse a way to buy this house. And I don't think that I guess you could do it with 9-to-5.
Yeah, you can't. I think that my 9-to-5 that I had prior to this was helpful because I was putting, I don't know why I was doing it. I was putting like 15% of my paycheck into my 401k for no reason whatsoever. I was working at Starbucks. They matched my contribution, I think by 5%, and I was putting in 15%. And I didn't touch that money either after I quit. And that's the money that I put towards the house. So I think that helped a lot for me personally to have something to put towards it. And honestly, I probably would have put, it was so funny because working there, I was so upset. I'm like, I'm doing all this work. I'm working all these hours. I got no money. And I didn't realize that I was putting so much money aside. But I'm very happy that I did because all of that would have went to just alcohol, drugs, entertainment, just nothing substantial. So
yeah, I guess
I think I would do the entrepreneurial because I know you were talking about the wholesaling as a gamble. But to me, a 9-to-5 is a gamble, though, because you don't know. Sometimes I've had jobs where they told us, hey, after this week, we might have to let some people go. So at least with the entrepreneurial, you can kind of be your own boss, set your own hours, and do whatever you need or whatever you decide to do for yourself.
Yeah, I think also it's funny that a reason I would call a 9-to-5 a gamble is because people are hoping that in 40 years from now everything is the same and they will be able to benefit from working at that job for that amount of time. I think on a day-to-day basis it's a lot more secure. Over a 40-year period, I think the average 9-to-5 is it more of a gamble than wholesaling? I mean, than being an entrepreneur. I don't know. I would always rather bet on myself than bet on somebody else to make decisions that control my life.
Right.
So that's how I feel. You have any other questions?
Any other questions?
So what made you want to step out and want to be or do the entrepreneurial thing?
For me, I'm curious what your answer is to that. For me personally, it was, I always saw people doing things and felt like I could do it better. And then I was like, well, if I feel like that, instead of saying I can do it better, then why not do it? And I just kind of been like that since I was a kid. I'm like, hey, I could sell candy and make money, or I could go out and I can do that. So let me go and do it. And that's kind of how I ended up doing it. I'm curious what Melissa's answer is to that. How did you decide to be an entrepreneur?
It's funny. I guess it's kind of similar to you, where I think, like, honestly, I think it's because my mom, because she would like she's very good at cooking and baking, so I would always see her sell, you know, the food that she makes, whether like she'll sell plates at church or she'll sell like banana bread, or my grandma would sell sorrel. So I feel like it's not on the same scale necessarily, but I feel like those values are what was kind of what I saw and what I was drawn to. And I remember being younger, setting up my nail salon, and I would make my flyers, and I have grandma, you know, pay me and my mom pay me and like sell my services and whatnot. And it's just something that I've been doing, I guess, since I was younger. So I think that's what it really comes down to with me.
Yeah. What about you, Emmanuel? Yeah, how'd you become an entrepreneur?
I think that was the same thing for me. I was, my father kind of put it in me as a small child. You know, he used to let me find like pennies and stuff on the floor and put them in a piggy bank, and I kind of got that going. And when my brothers started working, I was the youngest, so I was too little to do anything. My brother would pay me to run his bath water, and my other brother would pay me for giving him a slice of pizza that was one of mine. So I kind of got that going, and then when I got older, I wanted to have my own house. So I figured out how to use the money from my degree, what was left over, to put it as a down payment for my house. So when I graduated from college, I had my bachelor's degree, and I had my first home.
Oh, that's smart. No, that's genius.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people, and that's the thing, is I feel like a lot of people, me personally, I think everybody's an entrepreneur. They just don't know it yet. That's my opinion. I think that everybody wants to have control over their own life. And I feel like in your example as using your down payment from your school, that somebody could use that same down payment to buy an investment property instead of taking that money and, you know, you get a refund from your school every year. You could take that money every year, save it up, and then put a down payment on an investment property and just buy properties like that. So I think that you could do that. You could find a way to flip it. Like I just really think that everybody at the end of the day is an entrepreneur. It's just how far do you want to take it?
I think so too. I think that a lot of people is not that they don't know how, but I think they're scared to step out. Yeah, we're used to the comfort zone. With entrepreneurship, you got to step out and bump your head sometime, and I think nobody wants to bump their head.
Yeah, that's the security that I think 9 to 5 provide on a day-to-day basis. Is okay, I know that at the end of this week or the end of the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna get paid. No matter if I'm at work, not at work, if you're on salary, then you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about where my next check is gonna come from because I know this person is supposed to pay me, so I know that I should get paid every 2 weeks. And some people it works for, other people it doesn't. And I think it's the same with 9 to 5. Some people make it work and other people don't.
Okay, this is one question that I actually forgot. But where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years? You go first.
In terms of what?
In terms of real estate.
What?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I would like him to clarify. Because if Melissa is not thinking about real estate, she's thinking about a life of 5 years from now.
I was like, probably gonna be on our first kid.
Go with that then.
In general, I won't limit it to real estate. Okay. If I could put 5 years down the line, where do you see yourself?
Okay, so
what? No, you go first.
You go.
Jeez. Well, 5 years. Definitely want to have that first little child running around in 5 years.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You don't think so?
I didn't know that you wanted a kid in 5 years.
I think so. I think 5. By that 29.
29.
I'm turning 24.
I think you want to start thinking about it after.
No,
After
absolutely.
after the 29th.
No. So by that last year, probably gonna have a little bun in the oven. I definitely want to have a couple of investment properties that we've worked on, or either have as rental properties at that point. I want my clothing line to be sold in some capacity, whether that's on the Bamboo Project website or somewhere else. Probably want to start releasing music by that time too. And wow, none of these is like real estate related. Well, one of them was. And then there's something else too that I want. It was that probably we should be at like at least 250,000 subscribers on YouTube by then. Maybe honestly that might be too low. Million subscribers.
I think that's very low.
5 years, million. Honestly,
It should be. Yeah,
it should be.
I'm not gonna say nothing. You see your 5-year plan.
No. 5 million. That's my final answer. 5 million subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Me, I see in 5 years from now, I'm gonna have 3 dogs.
Oh jeez.
I'm gonna have a golden retriever, Alaskan husky, and a.
Shiba Inu.
This is not your time.
That's what you want.
It's not your time. It's Donovan's turn for my 5-year plan. Okay, I'm gonna have a Shiba Inu. This is not your plan. I don't know why you bombarding on my life. Like, if you're gonna be there, I don't know if you're gonna be there. So my 3 dogs, we gonna be there. Okay, and then I'm gonna have. I want to be making in 5 years from now. Let's see, I will be 32. I was gonna say $1 million a year, but that's very low in my opinion. I think that's a very low number to be making a year. I think in 5 years from now, I should be doing at least $8 million a year. I should be able to generate $8 million a year in 5 years from now. Melissa said she want a kid or something, so I don't know.
Oh, that's the energy you want?
I gotta think about that.
Every other day. Oh, we gonna have 5 kids.
I was talking about dogs and cats.
No, that's not what you were talking about.
3 dogs and 2 cats. And you know what would be cool? I mean,
Okay.
I think 5 years we gonna have 5 years. We'll have like 6 million subscribers on YouTube. Like 6 to 10 million subscribers on YouTube in 5 years from now, and we'll have an Airbnb empire, a real estate empire. I will have multiple tournaments for basketball, and
Your podcast.
the podcast will be a reputable podcast and listed on, I don't know, in 5 years.
Yeah, it could be.
It'll have. I was just saying it'll be on the top 100 podcasts on iTunes. So, but yeah, what's your plans for 5 years from now, Manuel?
Okay, well, by then, me and my fiance will be married, and then the next, I'm going to finish paying off my mortgage. Well, my mortgage will be completely paid off, and I also want to have a duplex, not in Indiana, but maybe in Atlanta, where I can have one side where somebody can live in, and then the second side is for like an Airbnb. I also want to write a book, and I would like to have a short story filmed, actually. And as far as like my income, I would like to have at least $1 million. I guess that would be called residual income yearly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I want to work on my novel.
What do you write? What is it about?
I like fiction novels, and I'm working to do a hospital for a neurological research center.
Wow.
Because I was born with cerebral palsy. Are you familiar with what that is?
I've heard of it and I have an idea, but obviously you could explain it better than I have any current knowledge of.
Okay. Well, most babies are born at 40 weeks, and I was born at 28. So I walk with crutches. So I want to do a neurological research center because the cerebral palsy, it affects your muscles or your motor nerves. So I want to help as many people as I can.
I have a question about that. Have you heard of Elon Musk's Neuralink?
No.
So he's working on a device that would be able to. Well, you said cerebral palsy is a muscular condition, or is it a nervous system condition?
It deals with. Okay. Let me see if I can explain it like this. You have so many different stages of development with the baby, and sometimes with me, my mother it was like a lack of oxygen, and so what the doctor told her, he told her we might have to take the baby in order to save your life, and she told my dad, said, if you have to choose between me and my baby, I want you to choose my baby, but God let us both live. And what happened with the cerebral palsy with me, I have to walk with crutches because my balance is not as good as yours is.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I know that the Neuralink is supposed to be able to provide, I guess, more signal from the brain to the rest of your body in certain situations.
Yeah, like that. But you have to have oxygen to do that. Like, okay, let me see. I'm gonna just put it like this: the things that you do automatically, I had to learn how to do it. Like, they taught me how to dress myself. They taught me how to open doors. Have you ever seen the movie Ray?
Ray with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember how he used his arms?
Yeah.
That's what I do. Only difference is I'm not blind.
Got you. Okay. That's interesting. So I'm also curious too. What are they doing in terms of research for cerebral palsy? Like, what are they trying to do to, I guess, either cure it, prevent it, or make it, I guess, easier to have? What are they doing for that?
Well, what happened, the reason why I want to do a neurological research center is they have a lot of things for children. But my doctor told me, he basically said that I was too old for the new treatment that they have. The treatment that they use now is stem cell research. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, they grow whatever, and don't quote me on this, but whatever the oxygen that I didn't get, I guess the stem cells will grow it for me. But my brain is already developed and I'm too old for it. So that's why I want to do more research.
That's interesting. Because I thought that stem cells would also be able to help with like Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that too. And that's typically what older people have. So I would think that they would be able to use stem cell, I guess, medication or procedures on older people.
Yeah, and it might have been just the doctor that I went to, but I remember that, and I said, that I want to do something. That's why I started doing, you heard me talk to you guys before about a food drive. I did a food drive from November up until April, where we would give food to people that were in need. And that was just kind of like for me to get my feet wet and kind of get a network for the hospital that I want to do with, which is the Neurological Research Center.
So if You saying that, so it's an oxygen issue? Is it that it's not enough oxygen getting to certain parts of your body?
That's exactly what it is.
And the oxygen is coming from your lungs or your brain?
Well, with me, you know how they have the placenta or afterbirth?
Yeah.
Mine, the placenta was coming before me. And if my mother would have pushed me out regularly, I would have drowned in the blood.
Oh, so you weren't inside the placenta?
Let me see. I can't explain it like that. But what happened, they had to actually cut her while she was woke. Most of the time, they'll put the lady to sleep, but they had to cut my mom while she was woke. Because if they hadn't done that, I would have died.
Because I'm trying to think of what would be a way to kind of treat that. I'm thinking, because you're saying it's a lack of oxygen issue. So, theoretically, if you were able to get more oxygen, that would solve the cerebral palsy. That would cure it.
Maybe I don't know if it would, but see, that's the point. When you get to a certain age, I think your body just develops and stuff. Like, for example, when a child goes through puberty, they don't go through puberty all their life. They get to a certain point where everything grows like it's supposed to be. So that part of my brain didn't develop, the motor nerves. When I was 4, I had to have what's called muscle tissue release. What they did, they cut me in about, I think 6 to 8 places in my legs, my hamstrings, my heel cords, and my groin area so I could open my legs up. If you go on Google, there's different forms of cerebral palsy. I had it in my hands and in my arms, but it was, in my arms and in my legs, but it was more severe in my legs.
Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I understand it. So the lack of oxygen causes the underdeveloped muscles? Is that what happened?
Yeah. The nerves, yep.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm thinking about the Neuralink thing, and pretty much it's supposed to be able, I know if there's a neurological issue, it should definitely be able to solve that. I don't know how, like you said, because you've already grown, you're already matured, if you can kind of regrow muscle tissue that hasn't developed. That, like you said earlier, that would have to be a stem cell situation to do that.
But that's why I'm doing this. That's exactly why I'm doing the Neurological Research Hospital.
Okay.
Just what you just said.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's wow. I definitely would love to be a part of that. Like, that's something I would definitely want to help with. Because now I'm very interested.
That's what I'm doing. Even with the real estate, a part of that will always go, to do the Neurological Research Center.
Do you know how much money have you thought about how much money you would need for that?
To build a hospital, I Googled it just for the fun of it. It's about $150 million.
Okay. I feel like I could get there. You gotta give me like till I'm 40. I think by 40, I should definitely have some 150. I'm gonna have 100. I'm gonna have 100. I don't know about 150. You might have to come up with the 50 yourself on your end, and I come up with 100, and we can build a hospital. Because that sounds like something I definitely would want to do. I never thought about a hospital before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
what gave me the idea was because there's a hospital here called St. Jude, and they specialize in cancer for children. And what they said that the percentage, since they've been raising it, raising awareness and things like that, more children are surviving. So I think if I can do a neurological research center, there's going to be less children that have to be born with, birth defects.
Okay.
Because not only does the lack of oxygen can hurt with cerebral palsy, but it can also do with like seizures and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Whenever you see a person have a seizure, there's a lack of oxygen somewhere.
Oh, okay. So the lack of oxygen. So
you can all, research and then make sure I'm giving you the right information or whatever. But from what I know, so there are a lot of things that our body needs oxygen for. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm doing the neuroscience.
I have an idea. So, okay, this is my question. The lack of oxygen, does that mean that the parts, like you said, your arms and your legs, they're not getting oxygen, or they're not pushing oxygen back up to the rest of your body?
No. I get good oxygen now. But it was when I was born, when she was having me, when she was carrying me.
The oxygen at the time when everything was developing caused.
Oh. But then that doesn't make any sense. So then why?
I was supposed to be born in July, and I ended up being born in April.
What?
Because, okay, so then if you're born prematurely, then what is stopping the oxygen after you're born from developing like how it would on a different situation?
At the time, I was born in 1985, so they didn't have the technology that they have now. So they have a lot of things that's available for children, but the Neurological Research Center that I want to do is for adults, because the child, they could do, all kind of stuff for them and help them, and it's a little bit easier. But when you get to be an adult, the things are already developed, so we need new procedures.
Okay, I got it. I can definitely understand. Yeah, so that's really amazing. I definitely for sure want to get into that. For me, I wanted to build a school, so I'm gonna have to add hospital to my list of things I'm gonna build.
When you look at that, if you watch the movie Ray again, look at his mom. The way his mom acts towards him, that's the way my mom acts towards me.
Oh, see, I don't remember that part. I'm gonna have to watch it again then. I haven't watched that movie in years.
Which one thing where
he's crying on the floor and says, "Hey, Mom, I need you." And she says to him, "Stop that crying. Don't let nobody or nothing make you no cripple." That's the way my mom did.
Do you think that was beneficial? Do you think it kind of gave you more strength to have your mom do that? Or do you think it was more hurtful when it happened? Or I guess now?
No. My parents, period, they just kind of said, "Ain't nothing wrong with you. Come on. We're going to do it." And that's the reason why I got a house. That's the reason why I got a degree. That's the reason why, I can survive, because they didn't put me in no closet and no chair and say, "Sit down someplace."
That's phenomenal, because I'm like, I always talk about that too, just in terms of enabling people, and it's people are people regardless of what they're going through. You have to give them an opportunity to do that. Nobody really wants to be kind of told that they can't do something. And then, like you said, even with cerebral palsy, you're able to do a lot of things that people who don't have it can't do, or have not done, and probably won't do. And then they're going to look around and say, and they're going to have excuses like, well, I could have did it, I should have did it, I would have did it. And then you look at you and you're like, well, I did it. So, what excuse do you have?
That's the point. Because she always says that, she would tell me when I was smaller, say, if you don't do for yourself, I'm not going to be here all the time. So you got to do it. If something happened to me, you got to do it. So I went to college when I was 19, and I was on my own when I was 22, and I have never looked back since. And I just turned 36 about 2 weeks ago.
Well, happy belated. Wait, when is your birthday?
April 27th.
Wow. That's wow. So you know my birthday's on the 29th?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, my cousin's birthday is April 27th, and my birthday is April 29th.
And my dad's birthday is April 27th.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. So I mean, I'm gonna end this on that note. I think that's wow. I did not know your birthday was April 27th. So you're a Taurus like me. We're both Tauruses. So shout out to the Tauruses out there. You know we are the best sign. I want everybody to know that. Nobody has anything bad to say about us, but I definitely appreciate this. This was a great conversation that we had. Like, this was an amazing conversation. I hope other people, when they hear it, they kind of feel the way that we felt having this conversation, because I know for me it was a good convo. So well, I'm gonna talk to you later, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Emmanuel.
You're welcome.
All right. Wow, that was like I said, that was a great conversation. I didn't think it was gonna go from real estate to medicine. I think that and that was a great conversation. I'm leaving all that in. That was a great conversation. So you know what it is. Hashtag Bamboo Project 2021. We going up all year. You know the vibes. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.